Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about the scientific revolution. Before I get started, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. It's free and you can always change your mind later. None of these pictures in this video belong to me. All of the pictures belong to the rightful owner. Here we have the units of study timeline, which was in the previous videos that I made of the Renaissance, the Reformation, and the Exploration. If you haven't checked those videos out, they're also on the My Quick Lessons channel. Make sure to go check them out. Here we have the units of study timeline. It goes from 1300 to 1800. So that's a pretty big chunk of time. And in the beginning of that time, we have the Renaissance, which really sprouted a lot of thinking and a lot of belief that people really took in like the Reformation and exploration time, and did a lot of things. Like in the exploration, they explored new lands. In the Reformation, they reformed the Catholic Church. And in the scientific revolution, they will see how critical thinking from the Renaissance, those types of ideas came in and really thought about different things that were happening. So the scientific revolution starts from 1550 to the 1700s. And right after that, we have the Enlightenment starting from the 1700s to 1775. So the scientific revolution is a pretty decent chunk of time that a lot of things actually happened. A lot of famous people were involved during the scientific revolution time, which is why it's a really important part of history today. What was the scientific revolution? The scientific revolution changed the perspective of Europeans and how they view the world. They began rethinking teachings based on the experiments that were conducted by science. And these teachings came from the church's teachings. And at this time, the church is an organization, which means that before blindly everyone believed whatever the church said, no matter if it was right or wrong. Whatever the church said, everybody believed that. And if somebody believed that it was wrong, they were punished. But now, once everyone started using conducting experiments using science, math, to solve these problems that the church was saying that was different, everybody started questioning the church's teachings. Here we have an example of Ptolemy. He's from 87 to 100 AD, and he is a Roman mathematician. His idea was the Geocentric Theory. This means that the Earth is the center of the universe, and you can see in this picture that he believed that the Earth is in the center, and all the other planets revolve around it. We have Mercury, Venus, Saturn, Jupiter, Moon, Mars, and the Sun. Which was a lot of people believe that the Sun revolved around the Earth, and so did all the other planets at this time that they knew too. Obviously, we know today that that is not true. But at this time, people believe that, yes, the Earth is the center of the universe, and we only have like a few planets. We have Jupiter, Mars, Mercury, Venus, and Saturn, and the Moon. You can see in this more simplified one, we have the Earth here, and then we have just like planets and their rotation cycle, and how they also revolve around the Earth, which was what Ptolemy said, which everybody said, okay, this is right, because later on the church also said this is right, that the Earth is the center of the universe. And then, quite a long time after that, we have Nicholas Copernicus. He is from 1473 to 1543. He is a Polish mathematician. He wrote a book called On the Revolutions on the Heavenly Spheres, and his idea was different. He came up with a theory called the Heliocentric Theory. So you have the Geocentric Theory, which means the Earth is the center of the universe. And we have the Heliocentric Theory, which means the sun is the center of the universe. And all the other planets revolve around the sun. Like we have Saturn, Jupiter, Venus, Mercury, Mars, Earth, and the moon. And Nicholas Copernicus wanted to get the idea around, so he wrote a book. You can read this book on Google Books. It is available. Looks like this. And it's called On the Revolutions on the Heavenly Spheres. And it's about how people who believe the geocentric theory are fools, and people who believed in the heliocentric theory were wise and smart, and they actually knew what they were speaking. Obviously, many people who believed in the geocentric theory thought that this was wrong and didn't like the way that people who believed in the geocentric theory were represented like this. But there were a few people who read Nicholas Copernicus's work and his theories and his ideas, and those people are Tycho Brahe, Johannes Kepler, and Galileo. Let's talk about Tycho Brahe first. He is from 1546 to 1601, and he observed stars and planets for many, many, many years. And he collected years and years and years and years of all this data, and he kept it with himself. At this time, he also had an assistant called Johannes Kepler. He's from 1571 to 1630. There are rumors that Johannes Kepler killed Tycho Brahe so he can have Tycho Brahe's data, because Tycho Brahe wasn't ready to show all the data he collected. But a few years after Tycho Brahe died, some people say that his mustache had some chemicals on it, which made him breathe in those chemicals, which made him die. Some people say that Johannes Kepler killed him. So that's a big controversy. But the main important thing is that Johannes Kepler used Brahe's data to calculate the orbits of the planets revolving around the sun and rotating by itself. So he took a look at all that data, and he went further into it and calculated and took a look at all of those different things that made that data so important. We also have Galileo Galilei. He is from 1564 to 1634. He built a telescope and discovered the phases of Venus, moons of Jupiter, and the stars in Milky Way. So the first telescope came out, and everybody was so hyped about the telescope coming out. Once Galileo found out about that news, he created his own telescope, which is apparently more high-tech than the one that was created before. And he discovered phases of Venus and moons of Jupiter and the stars of Milky Way. And all this data he collected was really important at this time. Now we're going to talk about the scientific method, which is very important in order to solve questions. So the scientific method, the first thing is to state a problem or a question. And then you have to formulate a hypothesis. What you think, based on your scientific data, is correct. Then you have to design an experiment, collect the data from the experiment, take a look at that data, analyze it, and then draw a conclusion, which is find an answer to your problem scientifically. Which is the method Isaac Newton used. Isaac Newton is from 1643 to 1727, and he developed 3 laws of motion in physics. Law 1 is a body at rest, or an object at rest, will remain in rest, and a body in motion will remain in motion unless it's acted upon an external force. Which means if a pencil is lying on a desk, it will lie on the desk unless it is moved or pushed by something else. And a pencil that is moving, that's rolling off the desk, will keep rolling off the desk unless you push the pencil and make it stop, which is an external force. Law 2, the force acting on an object is equal to the mass of that object times its acceleration, which means force equals to mass times acceleration. Law number 3, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. This is a very big one, and it's used all the time. For example, for every action, if someone says something in a debate, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Someone else will argue against that statement that you said. So for every action, everything that you say in a debate, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Someone will argue against what you're saying. So he used the scientific method to come up with these 3 laws of motion in physics. Then we have Francis Bacon, who is from 1561 to 1626, and he is known as the father of scientific method. He created the quote, "Knowledge is power," which is used so many times today. He used philosophy and general knowledge to come up with a scientific method. We also have Rene Descartes. He is from 1596 to 1650. He emphasized human reasoning, and he is known as the first modern philosopher. He connected geometry and algebra together, and his famous quote is, "I think, therefore I am." Now we're going to review what we just talked about. We talked about Rene Descartes and Francis Bacon and their impact on the scientific method. We talked about Isaac Newton's laws of motion in physics and his impact towards the scientific method. We talked about what the scientific method is. We also talked about the heliocentric theory and the geocentric theory and how people really question this a lot. And we talked about the people who supported the heliocentric theory. That's it for today's video. If you like this, then don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I'll see you soon. Bye!